Hey there, let me encourage you today straight out of God's word in the book of Leviticus. Today's devotional is for anyone who is tired of seeing selfishness take the place of compassion and wonders what it would look like if we actually lived out God's generosity instead of the world's greed. Leviticus 23:22 says this: when you reap the harvest of your land, you are not to reap all the way to the edge of your field or gather the gleanings of your harvest. Leave them for the poor and the resident alien. I am the Lord your God. The word of the day is margin. Now, as I read that passage today, this morning in my own devotional time, I could not help but reflect on how far America seems to have drifted from God's vision for our communal ethics and the way we care for one another. In this simple and radical command, God reminds his people that their harvest isn't all theirs. He instructed the Israelites to leave the edges for the poor and the Hebrew word ger, which means resident alien, foreigner, immigrant, outsider, right? This wasn't charity. That was justice. God didn't say, give when you feel generous. He said, make space always. This command created a built-in margin of provision for the vulnerable. It disrupted hoarding, it crushed greed, and it reminded Israel of their story. You were once foreigners too. Now today we live in a culture that often celebrates the opposite: hoarding wealth, vilifying immigrants, clinging to ours, ignoring the needs of others, especially those who don't belong. But Leviticus 23:22 says otherwise. God's economy is one of shared provision, where grace flows through the margin and mercy sits at the edges of our harvest. If we want to walk in the ways of Jesus, we've got to resist a culture of self-preservation and embrace a kingdom of radical hospitality. So the question for you today is this: what edges of your life, your time, your income, your attention have you refused to leave open for others? Who might be waiting on the margin, hoping for your obedience? In prayer today, pray that God would open your heart to see the foreigner, the poor, and the outsider the way he does. Ask him to reveal where you've harvested too close to the edge and to give you a spirit of generosity rooted in justice, not guilt. And today, find a way to practice this principle today, whether it's financially supporting an immigrant aid group like Churches of Welcome, welcoming maybe a new neighbor, or simply choosing to listen to someone different than you. Leave space and see what God does with it. Hopefully that encouraged you today, and if it did, share it with a friend, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Be blessed, be a blessing, and keep creating for God's glory. Peace.